Hey everyone, it's Barrett with Espresso Outlet. I got some cool stuff, and I've been asked a lot of questions about the Puq Press versus the Turin Autotamper. So today I kind of have more of a small commercial setup. Think of it as a small cafe, maybe a restaurant or a coffee cart. Now we got the Nuova Simonelli Musica off to the left, and I have a custom Malconda K30 in the middle as our grinder. It should be fairly well dialed in. And then we have the Turin Autotamper. It's the one in all black. It's been a pretty neat little Autotamper, very reminiscent of the Puq Press, which is far right. So giving you a little bit of background, I've actually used the Puq Press for quite some time. I bought it used. It's a V1. So it was a earlier model, and it served me fairly well. I've seen it in quite a few cafes, and it really does make quick work of puck prep. So when the Turin Autotamper came out, obviously a lot of people said, well, it's about a third the price. So is it as good? And so far, my experience has been very positive, but I wanted this to show you in person today. I'm going to use the same basket and the same Portafilter, and we're going to pull a couple shots on this Musica. I don't have a bottomless for this machine. It's a spouted Portafilter. But I think you'll get the point, and should be a lot of fun. So let's get set up. Okay, so let's just start with the Puq Press, since that's kind of what we're comparing it up against. It's been around a little bit longer. Have our machine heated up. Have this dialed in for approximately 18 grams. It shouldn't really matter because the dose should be the same for both shots. So we're not going to do any prep. We're just kind of going to level it off with our finger, and let's throw it into the Autotamper. So this is really untouched. You kind of see that there's a couple loose grounds. I've never really thought it's that big of a deal. If you want to do a second tamp, you can, and it usually cleans it up. But we're talking just really churning through a lot of shots here. So yet again, just to kind of clean it up a little bit. There we go. If you wanted to do a second tamp, it's really not needed. So let's pull this shot. Nothing too crazy here today. Let's put it in. Got our cup. Let's put that on. Tear out our scale. I don't have the volumetric dialed in for these beans, and I'm about out of these beans, so really not going to mess with that today. We're just going to pull some manual shots. So it comes out nice. Let's go ahead and do about our 32 gram shot. So there's our Puq Press. We'll set this off to the side. Let's take a quick look at the puck. Not to drip. So trying to focus. There we go. There's our puck. And remember, there's really no puck prep. I don't have a declumper in this grinder, so it's really not that bad. It's pretty reminiscent of most of the shots that I pull. Okay, so we knocked that free. Make sure it is nice and dry before we grind again. Having the big commercial grinder really makes fast work of grinding. Again, I'm just leveling this off with my finger. No crazy puck prep here. No WDT or anything like that. And we're just going to auto-tamp it. So again, this is untouched. Pretty clean. I mean, pretty reminiscent. This is just a cheap rimmed basket. I like using the rimless basket. Makes it a little bit cleaner, I think. But in a cafe, you're usually not using IMS or VST baskets. You're using just kind of whatever came with it within reason. So that's just a single tamp. Both of these are set identical. They're set, I should have mentioned that in the beginning. They're set at about 30 pounds. This one is in kilos. This one is in pounds. So not a real big difference, but they are set the same tamp pressure, which is really nice. Okay, so we're back. This is with the Turin Autotamper. So then a cup on, make sure it's hit tear. We're just gonna pull another 32 grams. Beans are getting a little bit old, but they're still pulling pretty nice. Kind of a milk-based bean. So it's pulling about the same times. We did about 33 grams in like 26 seconds, so it ran a little fast. Pretty much identical here. So difference between these two so far, it's basically neck and neck of just really the same shot quality. I guess the same as before, but a different angle. Should have done it the same. Here is kind of like the after of pulling the shot, and just kind of a normal espresso shot. Knocks free. Wipe it out. You're ready to go on the next one. So you can tell that these auto tampers make very fast work of pulling shots. So for example, this K30 is set at 3.5 seconds. You can grind 18 grams in about 3 to 4 seconds, usually on a commercial grinder. If you're really just throwing it in quick, I usually give it a nice tap on like a tamping pad just to level down the grounds. Then you throw it in there. It takes about a second, second and a half to tamp. You're throwing it in the machine. So if we were to really rush it, we could go from grinding to tamping to pulling a shot within 6 to 8 seconds, which is pretty big for a big or small cafe. Now, let's talk about the two different Puq presses and the Turin Autotamper a little bit more. So the Puq Press is definitely made for more of the commercial atmosphere. I mean, it is $1,000. So it's a lot more expensive, and I mean, it's gonna really probably last the test of time. The Turin Autotamper, since it's about $300, although the components are very similar, it's probably not quite as rated for like an extremely busy cafe. So if you're just doing shots all day long, it might not last as long. I really don't have any data on it. There is no real duty cycle on it. So it's probably what I would consider for light use. And that kind of gets me to my final point that I want to make on the Turin Autotamper. Since it is $300, give or take, it might be $325 or $350, I can't remember. Since it is in that nice price range, a lot of home users are really liking it for their home setup. You can see it's really not terribly large. I mean, it's not a small appliance on your counter, but I really love the Puq Press. I use the Puq Press just all the time at my house for, I mean, years. So when I got the Turin Autotamper, I pretty much keep one at my shop and one at home. And I really don't even notice the difference between the two. I do feel like both of them are quite easy to clean. On the Turin Autotamper, you just hold down the clean button. On the Puq Press, there's actually a button on the side that you have to hold down. And they both just push down the puck itself, so, or the tamping disc. So very easy to clean. Just take a rag, usually just clean around the edge, or you can use a brush, and doesn't take long to clean. And to retract, you just hit it again. So super quick and easy to clean. If you're in a shop, you could clean these easily multiple times a day and not even think about it. Maybe there's just like a little lull and you're cleaning up the counter. Make that go down, kind of brush off the edges, make it go back up, and just clean around it. So very cool, very, very similar. So before we wrap things up, there were a few things that I wanted to point out just to let you know. I felt like that the Turin Autotamper, it uses just a simple hex key. It's actually a really nice kind of a pistol grip hex key that you can adjust this fork. And when you get one of these, you'll see it can be a little bit awkward to adjust, and both of them are the same way. I felt like the design of this fork is actually much better. It's much flatter, so it made it a lot easier to calibrate the puck going in, or the Portafilter going in. So I felt like in terms of adjustability, this one was much easier to adjust. This uses 10 millimeter, this standard hex head bolt. You will need probably an extension. Mine didn't come with any adjustment tools. Maybe they come with them nowadays. Maybe they've changed it on the later Puq Press models, but that's just how mine is. So in terms of adjustability, I feel like this one's a lot easier to adjust. You will notice I can put my hand in here and it's not going to tamp. There's no button. There's actually a little capacitive sensor in there that when it detects the metal, it will go down. So that's really nice in terms of you're not gonna have a button that wears out and or breaks and or you're throwing your fingers in there trying to clean it and you're smashing your fingers on accident. So it's really nice for safety. Both of them operate the same. My last thing that I want to make known is these are designed for 58 millimeter portafilters. So your standard, I have a rocket one right here. I have it's like an aftermarket bottomless 58. These have the straight tabs. Over here I have the Nuova Simonelli that we've been using today. You can see it has diagonal tabs, but if it's 58 and it's this style, regardless of if it's like diagonal or the straight tabs, it will work. So like your Gajas and stuff like that, it should be fine. Now you get into the 53 millimeters, these won't work. If you get into like, maybe you have a Breville by chance, that's for like home use, the 54, these won't work. You're just gonna have to use a conventional tamper. These are made pretty much specifically for 58 and just your standard E61 Cafe portafilter. So letting you know, I know I'm gonna get asked that question. I've already been asked that question quite a bit, and unfortunately only 58. Maybe in the future they'll do something with 53, but there's just not as many 53 millimeter machines out there. So that's, I think, why they targeted the 58. Then last, just on the usability of these machines, one thing that has always kind of annoyed me with the Puq Press is it has this removable tray. And you can see that I just cleaned this, and there's grounds that get stuck in this kind of like a weighted base. So usually I have to kind of flip them around with a barista brush and kind of move it out the way and sweep them out. So I've always kind of felt like this was annoying. Even when the tray's in place, it is a little bit harder to clean. This one here, it has no removable tray. It's just a flat metal base. And I usually just, simple as that, and we're clean. So I feel like this, with just the smooth base that doesn't remove, I actually really prefer over the Puq Press personally. The other thing that I really like is the controls on the top of the unit rather than on the side. Now, don't let this think that it's the end of the world, because you're pretty much just gonna set it. You're gonna set it on 30 pounds and you're never gonna change it, probably. Really where I find myself using these controls the most is holding down that cleaning button again. So you do have to hold that one down on the Turin Autotamper. It's a little bit shorter of a press. They function identical. Maybe you could say this one looks a little bit cleaner because it's kind of hidden off to the side. But I usually do find myself turning the unit so I can get to the button, where this one is just kind of front and center. So I do think that this one, in terms of usability, is a little bit cleaner, personally. So I've been really impressed. Let me know if you're thinking about getting one of these. Hit the subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions about anything on the counter or anything that we sell. We enjoy doing demos like this for you. So thanks for watching.